You think you know dolphins. You have seen them leap from the water at marine parks, glide beside boats, and smile at you through aquarium glass. They seem playful, gentle, intelligent in a way that feels almost human. The animal that rescues drowning swimmers. The creature children print on posters and birthday cakes. But that familiar image is exactly what makes them so dangerous. They are highly intelligent, socially sophisticated, coalition-forming predators that commit infanticide, carry out coordinated attacks on other species, and have sent dozens of people to the hospital with broken bones. The image you carry in your head of a dolphin smiling, curious, eager to connect is one of the most carefully manufactured impressions in the entire history of human relationships with animals. And we created that impression ourselves. We put them in tanks. We trained them to wave at crowds. We named them Flipper. And in doing so, we convinced an entire civilization that one of the most cognitively complex predators on the planet was a friend. What they really are is something evolution spent tens of millions of years perfecting. And what evolution created when it created the dolphin is something that should make you deeply uncomfortable the next time you step into the water. To understand the dolphin, you first have to understand the kind of mind it has. The bottlenose dolphin has an encephalization quotient, a measure of brain size relative to body mass, of about 14. For comparison, humans are around 7, and chimpanzees are around 5. The dolphin's brain is not only large, it is organized in ways that suggest a level of cognitive complexity scientists are still trying to fully map. The cerebral cortex of a bottlenose dolphin, the region associated with reasoning, social behavior, and higher-order thought, has one of the most extensively folded structures in the animal kingdom, rivaling and in some respects surpassing our own. In practice, this means dolphins recognize themselves in mirrors, one of the rarest signs of self-awareness in the animal kingdom, a test passed by only great apes, elephants, and a few other species. They understand grammar, correctly distinguishing between instructions like take the ball to the hoop and take the hoop to the ball. They give one another individual names through unique signature whistles and recognize those whistles even after years of separation. They form multi-level political alliances, not simple pairs, but shifting coalitions of coalitions, where groups of males ally with other groups of males to compete against third groups in a social system researchers describe as more complex than anything documented in non-human primates. This is not a cute animal. This is an alien intelligence that evolved in the ocean for tens of millions of years, completely separate from us. And that intelligence does not make it gentle. It makes it capable of things we never expected. In Cardigan Bay, Wales, something began washing ashore in the early 1990s that nobody could explain. Harbor porpoises. Dozens of them. Dead. Their internal organs ruptured, their ribs fractured, deep lacerations across their bodies consistent with tooth marks. The injuries were severe enough that forensic marine biologists described them as evidence of sustained, deliberate high-force attacks. The perpetrators were bottlenose dolphins. Between 1991 and 2011, researchers recorded 137 porpoise deaths in that region linked to dolphin attacks. The behavior was documented in Scotland, Wales, California, and North Carolina. In each place, the pattern was the same. Dolphins attacked porpoises, animals they do not eat. Animals that pose no threat to them, using methods researchers describe in clinical terms that barely soften what they mean. Sandwiching, where two dolphins pin the smaller animal between them. Ramming with the rostrum, violent, repeated tossing into the air. Drowning. One researcher who witnessed a sustained attack documented what she saw directly. 23 dolphins in or around the attack group, 115 strikes over 75 minutes. The calf almost certainly did not survive. Scientists struggled for years to explain why. The leading theory is called the practice hypothesis. Harbor porpoises are about the same size as dolphin calves. The males who commit these attacks are mostly young adults, at the age when they begin competing for reproductive access. The attacks, researchers now believe, are rehearsal. Young males using porpoises to practice the same techniques they will later use to kill calves that are not their own. This is the detail that never makes it into the footage of dolphins leaping at sunset. Bottlenose dolphins commit infanticide. It is documented, confirmed, published in peer-reviewed literature across multiple populations on multiple continents. Male dolphins kill calves they did not sire, ramming them repeatedly with their rostrums, biting them, attempting to drown them, because a female whose calf has died will return to estrus sooner. It is a reproductive strategy. It is deliberate. It is methodical. and it requires the cognitive ability to understand the relationship between a calf's death and a female's future availability. That is not instinct in any simple sense. That is planning. In 2016, a single male bottlenose dolphin killed 6 harbor porpoises in the German Baltic Sea over 3 months. Autopsies found hemorrhages, fractured ribs, and a lacerated lung in multiple animals. Researchers noted that the perpetrator appeared to target, pursue, and systematically kill, then move on. Not to eat. Not in defense. For reasons even the scientists studying them had not fully resolved. Porpoise-killing behavior, infanticide, coercive behavior toward females, none of it fits the image of the animal we have spent decades celebrating. It fits something more honest. It fits what the dolphin actually is. An apex predator with a cognitive structure sophisticated enough to pursue goals over time, and the physical ability to achieve those goals violently. No case shows this more clearly than what happened off the coast of São Paulo, Brazil in December 1994. A bottlenose dolphin had been visiting the beaches near São Sebastião for months. The locals named him Tiapo. He became famous for how comfortable he seemed around humans. He would approach swimmers, interact with boats, and allow people to get close in a way wild dolphins almost never do. For months, people took advantage of that openness. They grabbed his pectoral fins, they tried to ride him, they stuck objects into his blowhole. Dozens of people kept treating a wild animal like an attraction, rather than an apex predator in its natural environment. Tao had already sent dozens of people to the hospital. In December, 2 men entered the water and tried to physically restrain him. Tia broke the ribs of the first man. He killed the second, a single strike to the abdomen. Internal injuries severe enough to cause death. A bottlenose dolphin, the animal on the birthday cake. What the medical and behavioral record shows across every documented case of dolphin aggression is not the behavior of a frightened animal lashing out in confusion. The attacks are targeted. The injuries are consistent with deliberate force, the same force the animal uses to ram prey, attack porpoises, and kill calves. A zoologist at the Dolphin Biology and Conservation nonprofit in Italy described it plainly. An adult bottlenose dolphin could easily kill a swimmer if it really intended to do so. The attacks we have documented, he noted, appear to be warnings rather than genuine attempts at lethal harm, which means the animal is calibrating. It is applying force with intent. It is adjusting that force. It is making decisions in real time about how much damage to do and how much to hold back. That quality, the deliberate, controlled, scalable nature of the violence, does not come from reflex, it comes from intelligence. And it is the intelligence of the dolphin, far more than its teeth, its weight, or its speed in the water, that should fundamentally change how you think about what you are looking at. The social structure behind that behavior is equally unsettling. Male bottlenose dolphins form coalitions, not temporary alliances, but stable long-term partnerships of 2 or 3 males who coordinate their behavior across years, sometimes decades. These first-order alliances then build relationships with other alliances, second-order coalitions, that compete against rival groups for access to females. Researchers in Shark Bay, Australia, studying one of the most extensively documented wild dolphin populations in the world, describe what they found as multi-level alliance formation potentially more complex than anything observed in any other non-human species, including chimpanzees. The coordination required for this is not simple. Researchers have documented dolphins within these coalitions synchronizing their movements, synchronizing their vocalizations, and making strategic decisions together about when to press forward and when to withdraw. The alliances require tracking the relationships and loyalties of large numbers of individuals across long periods of time. What researchers describe as the result of this system is coercive mating. A coalition of males locates a female, separates her from her pod, and herds her physically through coordinated positioning and directed aggression, preventing her from leaving. They may maintain this control for days. The female has limited ability to refuse. This is organized, coordinated, and planned across a coalition, executed by animals with the memory, strategic intelligence, and social structure to sustain complex multi-party cooperation over extended periods. Frans de Waal spent his career documenting the political complexity of chimpanzee society, the alliances, betrayals, and deliberate manipulation of social relationships. What researchers are finding in dolphin populations suggests a parallel structure evolved independently in the ocean. 2 lineages of intelligence arriving at the same dark place by different paths. There are approximately 600,000 bottlenose dolphins estimated in the world's oceans. The range of that estimate tells you something about how much we still do not know. These animals live in a three-dimensional environment we cannot access without equipment. They communicate in frequencies we cannot hear without instruments. They navigate in the dark using echolocation, a sensory system with no human equivalent. They can detect the heartbeat of a fish buried in sand. They can produce a focused acoustic beam powerful enough to stun prey. We have been watching them for decades, and we are still only at the beginning. What we do know is this. The dolphin is not experiencing the world the way the image on the birthday cake suggests. It experiences the world as an intelligent, social, coalition-forming predator whose relationships are built on competition as much as cooperation, whose biology includes deliberate infanticide and coordinated coercion, and whose cognitive structure allows it to plan, remember, and adjust its behavior based on outcomes across time. And here is the hardest thing to hold in your mind all at once. The dolphin is not evil. It is not malevolent. It is not, by any standard that applies to the ocean, cruel. It is exactly what tens of millions of years of evolution under high social pressure and intense reproductive competition produce. Its intelligence is real. Its social complexity is staggering. Its capacity for cooperation is genuinely extraordinary. And its capacity for violence is built on exactly the same cognitive foundation. We share this planet with an animal whose brain approaches our own in its architecture, whose social life approaches our own in its complexity, and whose behavior, when the conditions are right, approaches some of the darkest things documented in any species on Earth. We looked at it and we put it in a tank. We trained it to wave at crowds. We sold stuffed versions of it to children. We watched it leap through hoops, and we told ourselves we understood what it was. The ocean is deeper than that assumption, and so is the animal inside it.